And we are here live at the Grant Center. My name is Eddie Glenn. Shortly, I will be joined by the great Davin Wilson on broadcast in a presentation of your Averett University Cougars going up against the Huntingdon Hawks today in a USAC men's basketball contest. So just 30 seconds before the national anthem, we're going to let the national anthem play, and then we'll get you the starting five lineup for either team, and we'll get right into it here on the Averett Sports Network. And so we're going to start off with the starting five for each team. First, the Huntingdon Hawks in red. Starting us off will be number 5, freshman guard Bryant Reed. Number 10, TC senior Elmore. Number 15, senior guard R.J. Jones. Number 24, junior Kayante Pines. And then 40, Brandon McLean, the senior forward for this Huntingdon team. And so the starting five for your Averett University Cougars. Starting us off will be number 3, Montre Cash, the freshman guard. Number 10 will be sophomore Ian Best. Number 12, sophomore Timothy Henry. 13, senior Darren Kettner. And 24, Harrison Cochran. And again, I am joined by Davin Wilson for this game. After a great women's game that ended 68-62, where the women's team was unsuccessful in their try at winning the game. And so, Davin, it's good to be back on broadcast with you.
It is, Eddie. Thanks for letting me come over here and crash the party. I feel like Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn and Wedding Crashers over here.
And as I was just mentioning to the fans, the starting five for either team, kind of a rarity that James Contreras Jr. isn't starting in today's game. We don't know why, but we expect him to still get big minutes here in this game and this big-time matchup against Huntingdon.
And we will definitely see how much Averett will miss him. You know, he is such a big part of this Averett offense. I believe he, put up 32 or something in the game in the loss to NC Wesleyan the other night. So, you know, Averett will definitely miss him, but with Montre Cash out there, also I'm sure Jalen Burnett will jump in there and see, considering, you know, considerable playing time. So, and then also Harrison Cochran out there, the way he's been shooting the three ball lately.
And absolutely no shortage of talent here on this team. And it's just when you have someone that drops 24 points a night, that's a big miss, puts a dent in your team. But nevertheless, we're out here now. Both teams starting fives ready for the tip-off, and Huntingdon will win it.
And so the Hawks coming in here, they are coming off a 90-75 loss against Covenant College, which Eddie, coincidentally, Contreras actually set the single-game program scoring record in the Cougars' overtime victory against Covenant College earlier this season with 42, including an 11 for 11 mark in overtime, I believe I saw.
Absolutely. James Contreras absolutely hit the overtime mark and tore it up. And we keep talking about his scoring, and Contreras is actually third all-time in Averett scoring. He jumped up past Charles Bryant, Chad Ford, and Bradley Robinson, and that's good company to be in as he enters third place, as that shot was made by R.J. Jones.
And Jones is going to be a focal point for this Averett offense here, or excuse me, Averett defense. So Cash right now with the ball, bounce pass into Henry.
And Cochran for three, bounced up, bounced high, no good. And a foul called against Timothy Henry.
And it looked like an over the back there, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. TC Elmore and Henry. Elmore coming in at 6'3", 215. Meanwhile, Henry coming in at 6'3", 213. So that will definitely be a key matchup moving forward here, especially the inside game.
And absolutely, as Timothy Henry has absolutely stepped his game up these past couple of games, setting career highs in points and rebounds left and right. And he's been playing fantastic as the Cougars come up with a steal. Cash is running, and he will be called for a traveling violation. So Huntingdon will get the ball back 2-0 so far early in this game.
And Eddie, with Averett playing such a fast pace, at such a fast pace this year on both ends of the court, you're going to have moments like that where your momentum just gets the best of you, and, you might pick the ball up and take an extra step.
Absolutely. Forgetting that you can only take 2 steps. The third step gets away from you. And the Cougars defense come up with another steal over to Harrison Cochran, and he will reset back over to Cash. Cash calling out orders, moving his team around. Over to Kettner, who can absolutely drain the 3 ball. Very smart player for this team, senior forward. Henry jump shot, no good. And that was rebounded, by TC Elmore.
So a nice lob pass, then a chest pass inside. Foul will be called. I believe they are going to give it to number 10, Ian Best. No, actually number 13.
And they will get Cash with the foul there. And so that will send Elmore to the line. Cash picking up his first foul early in the game. 17:46. 3-0 lead for Huntingdon.
Huntingdon comes into this game on a similar path right now as Averett. They come in 8-10 overall, 2-8 in the USA South. Meanwhile, Averett 8-10, 3-7 in the USA South. Of course, Averett really used a late run at the end of last year to come back and pick up the regular season conference title. So by no means are the Cougars' conference hopes dashed at this point.
And as you mentioned, that late run by Averett last year was absolutely astounding on the backs of Bryan and Contreras, as Cash's three-pointer was no good. So here we are with Elmore for 3. Good.
And Huntingdon out to a quick 6-0 run. And Averett left reeling a little bit. Of course, not even 3 minutes off the clock yet, so plenty of time for Averett to regain his composure. Cochran with the ball now, trying to make something happen, driving into the paint, and he will draw the foul.
And talk about regaining your confidence and getting back in the game. We just witnessed a great women's basketball game where the Cougars were down by as much as 15 in that game and came back late in the ball game. Unfortunately, dropping the loss to Greensboro, but just an astounding game by both teams, Greensboro and Averett.
And really great game on both sides. Averett did a really great job of coming back. And, you know, one thing that we have seen with both of these teams this year, Eddie, is that they are not scared to run at a quick pace on either end of the court. And for the women's team, one of the big differences was they were able to start pressing a little bit, start getting the pressure on the Pride, which led to turnovers and easy buckets on the other end. And really, you know, spearheaded Averett's great run there late in the fourth.
And absolutely, and as we were talking there, Jamal Ford squeaked into the game. And while that's only one person, that's a big-time substitute as we have DeLucia, Cash, Ford, and Cochran all on the court at the same time. And that is a three-point quadruple couplet there, or quadruple team that can absolutely drain the three ball. We've seen all four of those guys absolutely light teams up from beyond the arc.
We have, and, you know, in DeLucia's case, he's been doing it now third year. You know, Cash and Ford, you know, Ford's second year, Cash's first year. So, you know, Ford and Cash still got a lot to work with. You know, the same with DeLucia. He's still got one more year. And with the Cougars losing both Contreras and Kettner, they will definitely turn him next year. And Ford is going to nail one from the parking lot, Eddie. Maybe we need to start talking about that more.
Hand in the face and all, as that was number 15 trying one of his own, and it didn't go. That was R.J. Jones. Cash saving it. Huntingdon coming up with it. Elmore for 3. No good. DeLucia on the rebound, and I don't think that's anything that Huntingdon wants to get into. They don't want to get into a three-point shootout with the Cougars. Jamal Ford, mid-range jumper goes. Jamal Ford had 12 in the last game against Wesleyan, and he's absolutely feeling a shot right now as he's got 5 early ones.
And 5 in just 1 minute span, too.
And he's got 5 of the team's 7. So Jamal Ford being a key offensive player early.
Of course, Elmore with the ball right now. We've seen him. He can shoot, and he can also shoot from outside the floor. But obviously coming in at 6'3", he's going to be a lot more of a threat coming in on the inside game. But really, Eddie, even at 6'3", it is not unlogical or illogical to, expect him to have a three-point shooting game either. While he's not going to be the smallest guy on the court, he's not the biggest guy either. And, coming in at 6'3", a lot easier to shoot that three ball and put touch on it than it is for some guy at 6'8", 6'9" to come in.
And you know who else is 6'3" and who's a very good three-point shooter? He goes by the name of Stephen Curry, and widely regarded as the best three-point shooter ever. And even Ray Allen is 6'3" himself, so that's 2 of the, top three-point shooters in NBA history coming in at 6'3", as you mentioned. Not a bad height to start out with beyond the arc.
No, it's not. And Averett, when they can get their three-point shooting game going to complement the inside game, to complement the free throw shooting, to complement the defensive first mentality, when they can get that outside shooting game going. Eddie, we've seen it this year. They are an extremely hard team to beat. I remember going down to see the Cougars at the beginning of the season, the weekend before Thanksgiving, play at nationally ranked Guilford College. The Quakers came in 18th in the nation for that game, and Averett just really lit up from beyond the arc. And I remember joking around with Contreras and his family after the game, just asking where in the world that three-point shooting performance came from. So.
And so out of that timeout break got tongue-tied there, T.J. McAllister and James Contreras made their appearances onto the court.
And T.J. McAllister, he's one of those guys that just really he has an engine that does not quit. He's not exactly the thickest or the widest guy out there, but he's going to play you down to the wire. And, I mean, he can keep going the whole game.
And his basketball IQ is almost unmatched. He doesn't score the ball a lot, but last year he showed that he had the ability to. And this year we're waiting on him to break out that big scoring run. But T.J. McAllister is very smart. He's not going to take shots that he doesn't need to, and he's going to pass it and find the next open man.
And I really think right now that's more of his role on this team. Duino wants him to use that game knowledge to drop out effective dimes. Contreras with a shot. No good as the whistle or as the buzzer sounds. Lucas Schmidt on the rebound. He will get it out to Cam Boyd. Popovich over to number 25, Schmidt again. Schmidt back over to Boyd. Elmore, nice spin move. Double team, though. There's a three from Boyd, and it tickles the twine. And Huntingdon back in front, 9-7.
And what a shot there by Boyd. Hand in the face. He doesn't mind the defense. He puts it in the hoop. And so, like you said, 9-7, and the Cougars go the other way. Jamal Ford rotating and gives it to Contreras. You have to watch out. Contreras so good at driving and getting the foul in the N1 attempt. Almost a miscommunication. DeLucia with it. Nice hard drive by DeLucia. Turnaround jumper goes.
And great job there. Almost kind of Bob Cousy-ish right there. Able to, with the ability to be able to switch his dribbling hands there so quickly and switch directions. Good play there by DeLucia. And Mua is going to get hit for over the back, guarding Trey Livingston. Great play there by Mua, though.
And Trey Livingston's a big fella, 6'5", 250 pounds. That is a beast of a man. He's an absolute monster, as Cougars will check in Mariba Diaby to try and match up with him. Mariba Diaby's probably the biggest guy on the team we have that can guard him. So Schmidt with the ball, nevertheless.
And Diaby has done so much growing up as a ball player here in his short time at Averett. And it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Diaby came over last year. Didn't see a ton of playing time. Still got consistent minutes, though. And Ford with the tray, and it falls 12-9. And, Eddie, we were talking about it. Averett with the three-point game. If they can get it going, they're dangerous.
And Jamal Ford now with, I believe that's 8 points now early in this first half. He's 3 for 3 from the field. And he's going to be looking to be a big-time piece here. That's Popovich on the shot. No good. Rebounding by DeLucia.
And DeLucia is also a presence under the board as well. Going to give you at least 5 rebounds every game. And a lot of his rebounds definitely come on the offensive end of things, but still a big rebounder. He can get back and rebound in transition as well, picking it up on the defensive end. So, DeLucia, if he was a baseball player, I'd go ahead and make him a four-tool guy.
And DeLucia's someone that kind of him and Kettner both actually kind of remind you of a Kevin Love. They both get after it, crash the glass, but can also stretch a defense out beyond the perimeter. And the Cougars doing a great job rotating off of screens forward on the rebound there. 12-9, Cougars out in front. Over to Kettner, 4-3, and it's good.
And those words come out of your mouth just about any time Kettner takes the long ball, as we saw a couple weeks ago against, I believe it was Ferrum, or not Ferrum, but Greensboro. As Kettner really had a big game there, and the Cougars' 17-point victory. So number 34, Chadwick now. Scotty Chadwick, you got to love that name. That's a basketball name if I've ever heard one.
And he's got the look, too, the long hair and the headband. Kettner for 3 again. No good that time. Schmidt on the rebound. So Schmidt's going to dribble out and get his team back in front of him. And big number 44, Livingston on the three-point shot.
And Livingston coming in here at 6'5", showing some touch. And it's now a 15-12 game, as Huntingdon is trying to dig into what was a 6-point deficit. Long ball there by McAllister, but we're going to have a foul. I believe it's going to be number 34, Scotty Chadwick. And that's going to take us to a media timeout here. 11:55 remaining, 15-12. So, Eddie, if it's okay with you, let's just go ahead and keep it locked here.
Absolutely.
And, we're looking right now, and Averett coming into this game, they were able to – and actually, Eddie, excuse me, this is the Cougars' first game against Huntingdon this year. First and only conference game, as they are in the West Division. But you look here at the game notes, Averett 4-0 all-time against Huntingdon. Huntingdon, one of the newer teams to the USA South Conference, I believe 5 years now they've been in 4. So, Averett comes in 4-0. And I remember a game not too long ago, I guess this was probably your senior year in high school. I remember being in Richmond, Virginia. I was up doing some dog sitting for my brother and sister-in-law, and was watching that game down in Huntingdon. Huntingdon, they do have the 1 hour. They are 1 hour behind us. Okay. They're on Central Time. And really, Trevor West just made a big, big basket there at the end of the game. So, we were talking about Bradley Robinson and Charles Bryan and some of the guys Contreras had to pass to get to third place on the all-time list. And West, is one of those former teammates as well.
And Trevor West sits at number 13 all-time with 1,028 points. And you're right, he great player for the Cougars, scored the ball a lot to make that all-time list. And Contreras passing a lot of teammates to make this list, to make it to third. And a great pass and a great move to get to the basket there by number 40, McLean.
And Huntington's really going to rely on the inside game, going to try to use its size to try to outwork Averett. And it's McAllister right now, kicks it out to Contreras. Contreras, off-balance shot. No good. Rebound.
And Contreras, you don't normally see him take three-pointers. They usually settle at the top of the key and drive in. But I guess he felt that shot in his hand.
He does have the ability to shoot the three, though, if called upon. And we've got 3 seconds. Well, actually, travel in there.
Ball will go back to Averett. Brian Reed will check back in. Brian Reed, a freshman out of Florence, Alabama.
15-14 game, 11:05, 11:04 now left in the first half. These two teams right about at the same spot in the USA South Conference table, looking to improve upon their mark. Contreras over to McAllister. McAllister, some fancy handwork there. Oh, and now some fancy footwork, ankle-breaking layup, and one. 17-14.
McAllister pulling out the Kyrie Irving layup package there, dribbling past his opponent and getting the ball to go. He will step to the line for one more, as you said. And like you said, absolutely astonishing dribble moves there to get past his man off of the pick and roll situation.
And, Averett is another one of those teams that, just like Huntingdon, they do have the complement of the three-point game with, three or four guys. But Averett also a team that's really predicated on, getting the ball inside, moving it fast up and down the court, and, just trying to make things happen.
And absolutely. And James Contreras going the other way now. He's going to find Burnett. Easy layup goes. So
19-14. 10.5 remaining.
And so Contreras defending against Chadwick. Ball goes over to Pines. Defended by McAllister. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Over in the corner to Reed. Reed rotating, rolling, looking for a shot. Puts one up, didn't get it. Chadwick there for the rebound. Put back. Doesn't go. And I believe
Averett right now doing a good job with its zone defense, really. And then also, Eddie, as you know, what that allows Averett to do is get a few extra bodies under the board and try to collect the trash from Huntington's shots.
And Coach Doino trying to get some bigger bodies in as he sends freshman Will Shoemate into the game, as well as Timothy Henry trying to get some rebounds. Cougars, of course, playing with the lead, but don't want to get too comfortable.
So Elmore right now, and they're just going to let that ball drift out as if Pines had touched it. Of course, the backcourt violation, as it was not tipped by an Averett player. Huntington's going to have to keep down the turnovers, especially facing a 5-point deficit right now. Still plenty of time, though, so no need to hit the panic button yet. Contreras out to Cash on the other side. Cash, a little trickery. Huntingdon doing a great job of coming up with the steal, number 24, Pines. Great hustle play, but
and great passing from Huntington there to kind of escape a bad situation, almost a couple of lost balls. James Contreras gets called on the travel.
Contreras with a scoop shot as he's being fouled, or as it looked like he was being fouled, excuse me.
Absolutely. The spin move looked like he was being fouled, and like you said, the scoop shot. And Contreras so good at finishing around the rim and then stepping to the line and finishing free throws. He also holds the program single-game record for free throws as he hit 19 in that Covenant overtime game to give him those 42 points.
Eddie, you just put a wrinkle in my brain. I did not know that. I appreciate it.
And so here's Burnett over to Contreras. Contreras, nice Euro step.
And, Eddie, you were talking about just a second ago, Contreras so good at driving into the lane and getting the calls, and you see him doing the same right there.
I think the referees are going to discuss whether this is going to be an N1 opportunity or not.
And it did almost look like Contreras could have gotten hit with a charge right there too, but the Huntingdon player in the lane, clearly feet established, so the block is.
And they're going to say that Contreras was down while the foul was called. The shot does not count. So 3-point game here. The Cougars out in front. Burnett finding the rim and one.
And Burnett too with the left hand right there.
Jalen Burnett coming in last year as a transfer basketball player and has made a big impact on the team. A lot of players just come in and, whether they're practice impacts or not, Jalen Burnett, has come in and made a big impact on the game, every game, being a nice defensive centerpiece for this team.
And he's such a great kid, too. A lot of fun. I remember last year we went up with Averett with the men's basketball team to, I believe it was Longwood University for their scrimmage up there. And I had a chance to talk with him coming back. I was doing a feature. And Contreras now over to Ford. Ford puts it up, and it's good, 24-16. But back to the story, was talking with Jalen Burnett, did a feature on how battle-tested the Cougars were going to be, and just a really great level-headed guy. And look at the hammer-home dunk there by McLean. 24-18. And, Eddie, I think I'm just going to end the story right there. I don't think I meant to tell this one.
I don't think the players are too interested. Cash's three-pointer no good, and Will Shoemate almost coming down with a nice rebound. And Davin, if my memory is correct, Jamal Ford has yet to miss a shot in this game so far. He's 4 for 4 from the field.
And you can't go wrong with that performance, Eddie. You don't need us to tell you that.
So here's Reed with the ball. And I believe that's number 15, R.J. Jones. And Elmer coming up with the rebound and a nice pass to his teammate Pines.
And Pines a lean force in there for Huntingdon. But he's been able to get some boards here early on for the Hawks.
And speaking of Huntingdon there, from Alabama, Jamal Ford for three. And he misses that one. The ball thought about going in for him, but decided to come out.
Eddie, you just learned. And there is a long ball from Elmore. And Elmore, goodness gracious, he hit that from the third level of the parking deck. 23-24 in favor of Averett now.
Expanding his range. And as I was mentioning earlier, Huntingdon out from Alabama. I was born in Mobile, Alabama, down in the Gulf Coast, and I actually have a cousin that plays football for Huntingdon. So I want to give him a nice shout out. Jamal Ford in the corner. It's good.
And Ford, you see him right there holding that hand up for an extra second. He was feeling that one, boy.
Jamal Ford, 5 for 6 from the field so far. He's absolutely lighting this court up with his shooting ability. And Elmore again with the range.
And a great hustle play over there by R.J. Jones, but nothing will transpire.
And you've got to think that Coach Caleb Kimbrough was going to talk to Elmore about his range on his shots, trying to get a little bit closer to the basket. But if Elmore's feeling it, if he can hit it from out there, then why not?
Why not? Let him go. So, well, Eddie, you and me have not had a break yet, or you and I, excuse me, we have not had a break yet. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a real quick break, but we'll be back in about 45 seconds here on the Averett Sports Network. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the Grant Center. Averett holding on to a 27-23 lead right now. 6:48 left in the first half of this contest.
DeLucia, Best, Ford, Cochran, and Moore all out on the court for the Cougars.
And so DeLucia now gets it out to Best. Best trying to make something happen. Over to Ford. Ford, underhand pass back to Best. Best back to Ford. Ford trying to drive in, kicks out to DeLucia. DeLucia with the tray from the corner, and it falls. 30-23 now. The Cougars now have a 7-point advantage, their biggest of the game.
The Cougars shooting the three ball like they've never missed before. And a nice lob attempt there from Elmore. Elmore trying to be the playmaker that his team needs him to be. Huntingdon coming in, the red on red, and Averett white on white this game. So 6:05 remaining in this first half. Ian Best with the ball. DeLucia back over to Best. Best over to Ford. Ford to DeLucia. DeLucia back to Ford. Ford over to Best. Best looking, rolling. And he's going to drive baseline, put the shot up. No good that time. And a block will be called against LP Moore. LP Moore can absolutely jump out of the gym. If you watch him during warm-ups, he demolishes the rim, really puts damage to the rims before the game. And even during his rebounds, he's up looks like he's up past the backboard in some of his rebounds. So someone with the springs in his shoes, kind of like Best and Burnett, guys that can really get after it and jump on the court.
And Averett's got a lot more size this year than it has in a while. You know, they had Carter Jones back a couple of years ago, and then, of course, you had Charles Bryant. And, you know, so Averett has always had some big guys, but this year with Mua and so many of them, Cochran, excuse me, I'm still getting used to the
Even
to
Raymond
roster.
Bullock is a really big guy who can jump as well as a freshman. And I believe he's hurt this game, so he's inactive, but he's a freshman that Doino is really high on, as he is Cash and Cochran.
And seeing both of their performances so far, and especially here down the stretch in conference play, it's easy to see why Doino has his confidence in those players.
Forward with range. Ball bounces high, no good.
And the shot clock expired, but that ball definitely hit the rim, so it will just be a reset. 30-24, 5:36 remaining in the first half. Tight ball game between these two teams, as it always is. So right now, Eddie, both teams shooting well from the field. Averett 11 for 23, 47.8%. Meanwhile, Huntingdon 9 for 22, 40.9%.
And that's Popovich was outside. Schmidt rolling. Shot no good. DeLucia or Cochran there on the rebound.
Also, Averett with 15 points on threes. Huntingdon with 12, and thought it might be 18 there. Ooh, and some push and shove going on under the basket. And they're going to hit number 24, Cochran, with the charge on that. Not much surprise, though, there, Eddie, on that call.
Absolutely. Driving in hard, and Contreras will come in for forward.
And there was also a little battling going on between Diabe and also Chadwick under the basket. So these tight games, as they often do, things can tend to get a little physical, especially under the glass. Referee's doing a good job of keeping it under control. There's a long ball by Chadwick. No good. Contreras with the rebound.
And so here's Contreras the other way now. As you mentioned, Chadwick, some range on the shot there. We've seen players expanding their range this game. Cochran for three now. No good.
And that was Cam Boyd with the rebound for Huntingdon. Boyd trying to drive in. There's the J. No good. It's going to be Best coming down with the rebound. And Best is going to draw the foul. It's going to be a reach-in on number 32, Boyd. Boyd none too happy about it. So we've got a timeout on the court. 30-24 right now, 3:42 left in the first half. So, Eddie, so far, go ahead and give us your take on this game so far.
Well, Huntingdon is going to have to close out on the shooters of Averett. Their defense is holding off and double teaming some players, leaving shooters wide open, whether it be mid-range or three-pointers. And Averett is absolutely taking advantage of these open looks. Huntingdon doing a great job of getting the ball down low, and their shooters are capitalizing on shots. And offensive rebounding for Huntingdon has been big. On the shots they've missed, they're getting rebounds and getting it back out to their shooters and able to keep it a 6-point game.
And that's been one of the big things, as we were talking about, both teams shooting well from the floor and also especially beyond the arc. You know, Averett right now coming in with, you know, its trio of threes, and also on top of that, 4, and Huntingdon now coming in with 5 threes. So, you know, right now you look at Huntingdon, 24 points, 15 of them coming on the three game. Right now, Averett with their 4 threes, 12 of their 30 coming in from the 3 game. So, sorry about the pause there.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Had trouble with my multiplication, Eddie.
And the Cougar band and student section getting into the game.
What's that old saying? I'm an athlete, not an athlete. And you're right, Averett with that marching band over there providing a little bit of noise, trying to maybe hopefully throw the Hawks off their game a little bit. Cochran right now with the ball. He's going to get it over to Contreras. Contreras from the top of the key, no good. And that's going to be number 40, McLean, with the rebound. He's going to kick it out to number 15, Jones. Jones night pass inside to Pines. Pines back out to Jones. Jones captaining the play right now, trying to set something happen or set something in motion. So that's going to be number 40, McLean, with the jumper. No good. Diaby with the rebound. Diaby to Cochran.
And great defense there from Diaby that time. Burnett outside to Contreras. Contreras drive baseline, pull back out over to Burnett. Burnett head fake. Temporarily loses the ball. But a charge will be called against Burnett. Or a block, excuse me, against Chadwick.
Chadwick had both feet planted in there, and that's a call that, to me as a referee, I would not like to make because it's just one little difference between the block and the charge.
Got to be the toughest call in basketball. Contreras turnaround jumper sinks.
And Contreras just seems to have no problems with those shots at all. He made a couple of big ones against Maryville in the game that actually clinched the regular season championship for the Cougars last season. And speaking of regular season championships, we were talking about the women's team just a second ago. Despite the loss, the Cougars very much in control of their own fate as far as seeding goes for the conference tournament, as we are heading down into the final 7 and 8 games of the season. And Eddie, I don't know about you, but it feels like you and I just finished up with football back not too long ago. And now we're talking about the end of basketball.
Absolutely. Time flies fast. And like you said, it feels like I just finished up finals not too long ago. And here we are headed towards midterms and the end of basketball season. And
well, I don't envy you on the finals, Eddie. That's what I do not miss about school.
So 32-25, Cougars out in front with 2:35 left in this first half. Contreras out there captaining his team, calling out orders.
And that's going to be number 24, Pines, with both free throws made. 6-point game now, 32-26, 2.5 left in the first.
So Cash with the ball, defended by Pines. Over to McAllister they go. McAllister getting the switch that he wanted. Over to Burnett. Burnett will drive baseline. Shot goes. And he's going to step to the line for one more.
And right now, Huntingdon trying to use its size to slow Averett down under the board, but they're just getting in there a little bit too early, posting up, keeping those feet a little bit too planted in there. And it has turned into a lot of attempts for the Cougars from the free throw line, and also a lot of and-one opportunities as well.
And that's something you don't want to do with the Cougars, is give them free throw opportunities. That's something that I know Coach David Doino harps on all the time, is free throw shooting. They missed a lot of free throws, and I believe it was the game against Ferrum. And the coaches were telling me that they made the guys outside of their regular free throw attempts in practice. After practice, they each had to shoot something like 100 free throws after practice, and it shows up in the improvement as Huntington is offensively rebounding the heck out the ball right now, as Timothy Henry will stop all of that.
And Jalen Burnett now out to McAllister. McAllister back to Cash. Cash pulls up, in and out. Contreras with the offensive board. Little hook shot, no good. Believe it is going to be Contreras coming down with that. We're going to see which way they keep the possession error. It's going to go to Huntingdon. Huntingdon wants a timeout, and Eddie, I think we deserve a timeout as well. And ladies and gentlemen, you do too at home. So we're going to go ahead and take one real quick, but we will be back here in a few minutes with the remaining 1.5 minutes of this first half here on the Averett Sports Network.
And so we're back here live at the Grant Center. My name is Eddie Glenn, joined by Davin Wilson. 34-26, your Cougars are out in front with 1.5 minutes remaining. against this Huntingdon basketball team. Great pass there. And another one out to Elmore, 4-3. No good. We know he'll take those three-point shots.
And that was the first questionable call, Eddie, that I've seen all night from these officials. They've done a very good job right there. And number 15, Jones, it did take a spill to the floor. Maybe a touch of contact, but the contact was not the reason for Jones hitting.
And a little bit of a late call there. It seems like if he would have stayed up, they probably would have let the contact slide. But since he did hit the court, the referees thought it was necessary to call the foul, so Contreras will pick up his second.
So Hobson into the game for Huntingdon. Hometown kid just about coming from Montgomery. Contreras inside to Henry. Henry turnaround, no good. Burnett and Pines battling. And Pines, I think, took a finger to the eye. And Eddie, I remember those days. There is nothing fun about that. Pines seems to be okay, though.
Well, he's going to come out and get his eye looked at.
Never a good spot to take a shot, especially if you're a basketball player.
You definitely need your eyes to see the basket, which a lot of basketball is muscle memory. A lot of guys don't even have to look at the hoop. They just shoot.
They know how to position their bodies and how to get in there the way they need to. Low scoring affair, really, for Averett, as Averett has definitely increased its point total a little bit from this time last year, but both of these teams playing good defense right now. 34-27, 56-9 left, 34-28 now, as that's going to be number 44 Livingston sinking down the front end, or excuse me, number 40 McLean sinking down the front end. See if he can back end him. He does not. Cash with the layup or with the rebound.
And so Cash the other way against Hobson. Over to DeLucia. DeLucia was open for a sliver. So was Cash. Over to McAllister. 4-3. Doesn't go. Cash on the rebound.
McAllister, good form on that shot. Just caught a little bit of bad luck. And Cash puts up, and he tickles the twine. 36-28, 28 seconds remaining in the first 20.
And Cash put up an Instagram of him shooting, and the caption was from Mark Jackson, hand in the face, who cares, shoot the ball. And he does that well, as that mid-range jumper had a lot of defense, as Reed is going to dribble this ball out and let Huntingdon take the last shot with 10 seconds remaining here. Unless the Cougars come up with a steal, and they do. 4-3-2, Timothy Henry at the end of the first half.
And what a way to end the half with a steal and a bucket and a 10-point lead. So first 20 minutes off the clock here at the Grant Center in Danville, Virginia. 38-28 your score. Keep it locked right here. We'll be back in about 5 or 6 minutes with the Danville Mall halftime show. So keep it locked right here to the Averett Sports Network. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the Grand Center as we are now 2 minutes away from the start of today's second half between the Cougars of Averett University and the Hawks of Huntingdon College. Right now, Averett with a 38-28 lead. And we're going to take a look here at some of the leaders on the Danville Mall halftime show. Right now for Huntingdon, T.C. Elmore and Keontae Pines are each pacing the way with 10 points. Meanwhile, on the rebound end of things, it's McLean and Pines. McLean has 6 rebounds. Pines has 5. Right now, Huntingdon is shooting 29% from the field. They are shooting 26.7% from three-point range. And the one positive mark for the Hawks here moving into this second half, 50% from the free throw line. Meanwhile, the Cougars have been led by Jamal Ford's 13-point performance, knocked down 3 threes in that time. Also, Jalen Burnett with 7. Right now on the rebounding end of things, Contreras Jr. leads the way with 4 rebounds. And right now, Huntingdon using its size to outwork Averett under the glass. They lead the rebounding advantage 27-21. If you do this and you can't laugh at yourself, what are you doing it for, right?
Exactly right.
And Averett coming in right now, shooting a respectable 44% from the field to go along with a 29.4 mark from beyond the arc, and also 60% from the free throw line in the first half. So, Eddie, time for your analysis of this game so far.
And my analysis for Averett would be keep feeding Jamal Ford. Without his 13 points, we're losing by 3. So Jamal Ford, a very integral piece, and keep passing the ball. We're going to have to get better on the rebounding end. Huntingdon, keep doing what you're doing. Offensively rebounding the ball is great. You just got to capitalize after you rebound. Not so many missed shots and turnovers, and they're back in this game. It's just a 10-point game, 38-28, and we've seen bigger comebacks in college basketball.
We have, and Eddie, you were talking about the offensive battle under the board. Right now, Huntingdon is actually winning that one 9-3, and then in the turnover battle, though, Huntingdon is on the wrong end of a 9-5 mark in that category.
And as in football, every football coach you'll talk to will tell you, if you win the turnover battle, you'll most likely win the game, and I believe that holds true with basketball.
So
go ahead.
Henry driving inside. It's now a 12-point game.
Yes, sir. So 40-28 now, as we mentioned. Tim Henry really improving his game the past couple of games. Really hitting shots more efficiently.
And Eddie, when Averett, I was talking with David Duino's wife, Lauren, down there just a few minutes ago, walking back up here, and we were both talking about Averett, shooting the ball well again. And when it shoots the ball well, the Averett is a very dangerous team.
And absolutely, as we hold evident in this game, they're shooting the ball really well as Cochran makes that shot. Good timing. Jamal Ford, Cochran, DeLucia, Kettner, Contreras, Cash, everybody's hitting today. And it's showing up on the scoreboard. And this is how head coach Duino wants his teams to play at all times.
And right now, Averett has scored the first 4 points of the half to extend its advantage to 14. 18:48 remaining. And Eddie, like you were saying earlier, plenty of time for Huntingdon to come back. They do have the weapons to do it. We'll just have to see if they can. So Best with the 3 and hit the bottom end of the basket. Also looked like it caught the rim at the same time. That's a shot that we don't see very often. So we're going to have a timeout on the court. I believe it is a media timeout. It will go into the full timeout. So, Eddie, media timeouts, they were one of those things that when I was just watching sports before I began broadcasting or writing them, I used to get so upset about media timeouts. I always thought to myself, what in the world does a media need a timeout for? Well, Eddie, I think you and I can both agree that we can definitely appreciate the media timeout a lot more on the media end of things.
Especially during a fast-paced game, your throat gets kind of dry, kind of worn out there. And much like the women's game of last, was very fast-paced, back and forth, and 1 point game here, 1 point game there, out to a 15-point game, back down to a tie ball game, back out to a 6-point game. So back and forth, never really holding true to one certain lead. This game kind of slower than the women's game last time, but a lot more passing and rebounding, more intricate things. So timeouts definitely help you out a lot.
They do, give us that breather and kind of allow us the opportunity to wet the whistles again, whether it's a Coke or a water or anything like that. just anything to keep the mouth dry and to keep you from making too many mistakes, too many blunders. So Cochran is going to put up that tray. No good. He tried to grab his own rebound. In the end, it's going to be number 5, Reed, getting the board for the Hawks. Reed over to number 10, Elmore. Elmore trying to drive in, stripped by Henry. Henry bounced past to Cash. Cash driving down, switches hands, no good. But Henry is there with the follow-through, and it's now a 16-point game. And we're going to have a foul whistled on the play. Let's see. I believe it's a foul, and they're going to take the points. No, they're going to keep the points on the board. Excuse me. Looked like they had called a foul on Kettner at first, but referee signaled 13, but the play was not stopped. Points not taken off the board. So inside to McLean. A good job there from Elmore on the pass to McLean. No good. Huntingdon battling out under the boards right now, and it pays off as McLean's putback makes it a 14-point game, 17:52 remaining.
And that's that offensive rebounding we talked about earlier, but right before the second half started, they're absolutely getting after it, crashing the glass offensively. And Cash gets his man off his feet. Right-hand floater goes. And so Cash, again, one of the more promising freshmen on this team who can absolutely score the ball.
And wondering how almost a walk right there by Jones, but he did only take one step with it. So he had the extra step. He tried to pass it off, but the ball deflects off a Cougar player. So number 32, Cam Boyd, back into the game for the Hawks. Boyd, the 6'1", 195-pound junior out of, excuse me, I'm having trouble reading there. Out of Georgia, let's just say that. And he's going to take a shot here early on and gets the default. Field goal sign up. It's good. 3 points. And 46-33 is your score. 17-12 left.
And so Best with the ball now as we see Ford and DeLucia down there about to check into the game. Best rotating. Keeps the ball himself. Gives it over to Contreras. Over to Kettner. Kettner for 3. Looks like he thought about it a little bit too much. Diaby there for the rebound. Pump fake. Puts it back up. Gets his own rebound up again. No good that time. And a foul will be called as McLean comes down with it.
And Diaby almost looked like on that pump fake like he was maybe putting some air in his bicycle tire or something like that. So terrible play on words there, Eddie, but you know that's what I'm good for.
Nevertheless, DeLucia, Ford, Cash into the game to pair up with Contreras and Diaby.
So Huntingdon right now trying to start cutting down his deficit here. They've got it down to 13 after trailing by as many as 16 early on here in the second quarter or second period. 16:34 remaining, 46-33. Averett in front, DeLucia on the inbounds. So Trey Livingston is going to come back into the game for the Hawks. 6'5", 250 pounds, Madison, Florida. And Eddie, with that height and with that weight, I think he is he's definitely the definition of a well-fed country boy.
And he is, and he's shown that he can shoot the ball as well. Not many big men in Division III college basketball can have that ability to shoot, but in the world of basketball, we're seeing big men extend their range. A Contreras free throw range jumper doesn't go. Diaby there for the rebound, and he gets pushed. But as I was mentioning, big men around the world of basketball expanding their range on the shot and teetering on the edge of that three-point line, and it's really changing the game of basketball. You can't really keep them inside anymore.
You can, and Eddie, one of the books I've been reading here recently has been Bill Simmons' Book of Basketball, and that's one thing that he talks about, and how some of these guys who were so successful back in the 60s and 70s, you know, would they really be? And Diaby with the turnaround jumper, no good, gets his own rebound out to DeLucia. DeLucia puts it up, and that falls through, but how, you know, whether some of these big guys like Chamberlain and Russell and some of them, you know, how well they would perform in today's game. So that's going to be number 24, Pons, with the long three. No good. DeLucia with the rebound. And DeLucia is going to draw the foul. That's going to be number 44, Trey Livingston. Not happy with that call at all. And we've got another timeout here on the court. And, Eddie, I believe we're going to take this one with them. And, ladies and gentlemen, just make sure to keep it locked right here on the Averett Sports Network. We'll be right back. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. DeLucia on the inbound over to Burnett. 48-33 is your score, 15-44, and Burnett is an absolute jet getting down the court right now. Gives it over to DeLucia. DeLucia back over to Contreras. Contreras over to Burnett. Burnett back over to DeLucia. DeLucia trying to drive in. Will switch gears, goes over to Contreras. Contreras right now, well guarded, turnaround Jade, no good. Ford with the rebound, and look at Ford right there. Under the basket hook shot, wow. 50-33.
Way to be there for his teammate. As Contreras isn't the Contreras we're used to seeing here, but his team is out in front, so he's doing something right.
And Diaby whistled for a foul. That close one. Diaby did kind of look like he went over the back there a little bit, or he did make some contact, on the shot, but it was well contested as he and Livingston were going at it, and Livingston will win out, and he will go to the line. So you see Diaby joking around with the official right now, and that's what you love to see, Eddie. That's sportsmanship, and both of these teams have it. So Livingston's first shot clanks off the back rim, no good.
And battling down there, Diaby and Livingston were. Livingston, as we mentioned so far, his size is such a big factor that Diaby has to enforce a little bit more contact. And as they send in LP Moore is strong in his own fact. We have a hall director here who plays a little bit of recreation basketball with us, and he played O-line for Methodist, and Moore was absolutely bullying him during recreational basketball. And LP Moore is a very strong guy in his own right.
He is, and he is definitely going to be a force for this Cougar team moving forward. And, especially he keeps adding on to his offensive game. Defensively, he's as tough as nails. But if he can keep adding on, and DeLucia with the three ball, and nothing but the bottom of the court. 53-34, 14:45 remaining.
And the Cougars playing pretty much without James Contreras this game. I mean, he's on the court and he's facilitating, but he's not the 24 points a game that, the Cougars are used to. So without that James Contreras, they're still winning up by 19 points here. And this is something good if you're a Cougars fan, that they can play without Contreras. And this is what a flash forward of next season would probably look like. And the Cougars are showing promising signs here.
Well, DeLucia and Burnett and DeLucia with the tray, no good. Mua getting whistled there for the foul. So I think offensively next year for the Cougars, the focus will definitely fall on Cash, Ford, DeLucia, and then Jalen Burnett. Meanwhile, you've also got James's little brother, Vinny, coming up. Vinny has been very productive this season in what I believe is his second year on the team. It is sophomore guard. And so it's going to be number 25, Schmidt, right now, trying to make something happen. Bounce pass into Livingston. Livingston draws some contact, no foul. And that's going to be number 25, Schmidt, putting up no good, but a great play there by number 40, McLean, to get up, clean up that offensive rebound, and put it back in. So, Eddie, once again, one of the things we've been talking about, quite a bit in this game is, Huntington's abilities to get in there and pick up some offensive boards. And you see it right there. They were able to do it and get in there and make a couple of big plays under the boards. And, it's led to some buckets for them. So, 53-36 right now, 17-point game. And really, you've got to think that with the way Huntington's been playing, if they were able to shoot a little bit better from the floor up to this point and able to maybe try to cut down on the turnovers a little bit, it would be a lot closer of a game. I mean, this scoreline does not reflect how tight of a game this contest has been. It's just Averett right now outdoing Huntington in certain key areas, and one of those key areas has been beyond the arc with the Cougars just torrential three-point shooting.
And as we mentioned earlier, as you mentioned earlier, that late conference run last year from the Cougars, if the Cougars can keep playing like this the rest of this season, they could get themselves into the conference tournament and make a run in the tournament. Moore outside looking for some help. He finds it in Burnett. Burnett takes the screen from DeLucia. He gets the switch off that he wants. In the corner to McAllister. McAllister finding Burnett. Burnett trying to find DeLucia, but I believe this is going to be, and it will be a dunk there by R.J. Jones. A one-hand slam. And DeLucia outside with the ball. Over to Contreras, down low. Contreras against Smith. Nice spin move. And I believe he will get his shot blocked. So here's Boyd the other way. Boyd picked up by McAllister. Nobody picks up Jones. And Smith will get the offensive rebound. So Smith looking. And he finds Burnett accidentally. So Burnett is going to go all the way. And he will be fouled. And so Burnett doing a great job of coming up with the steal and getting on the other end and get to the charity stripe here, as he's going to get 2 shots. 53-38, Cougars out in front. Burnett's first shot is up. Rolls around the rim but goes in. Kettner will check in, as well as Henry for DeLucia and Mua.
Averett up in front, 54-38 right now, 12:46 remaining. Burnett going for the back end of his free throws. Does not get it to fall. It's going to be number 32, Boyd, with the rebound. Number 5, Reed, now with the ball for the Hawks. Reed at the top of the key, moving it around. He gets it out to number 10, Elmore, or excuse me, number 15, Jones. Jones back over to Reed. Reed back into number 32, Boyd. And look at that, number 34, Scotty Chadwick, with a lot of traffic in front of him. Does a great job on the left side there of getting up his layup, getting it to fall. 54-40 now, 12:14 remaining in this game. Burnett with the ball, trying to drive, and he will draw the foul.
And Burnett doing a good job of tucking that ball to his chest, kind of like a running back, holding it high and tight there and trying to put the shot up as he gets fouled. So Ford and Cash will check back into the game.
Meanwhile, for the Hawks, we have McLean back into the game. So the Hawks right now facing a 14-point deficit, 12-11 left in the game. Ford into Henry. Henry, a nice pass on the screen. Jamal Ford puts it up, gets it to fall. 56-40 now, 12:03 remaining. So right now, number 5, Brian Reed with the ball. Reed, a little pass over to number 34, Chadwick. And there's going to be a foul whistled against Huntingdon. And we've got a timeout on the court. 11:54 remaining. We're going to take it with them. 56-40 game. 11:54 left in this one. We'll be right back on the Averett Sports Network. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And Eddie, one thing that we were just talking about, Jamal Ford right now with 17 points for Averett. 17 out of 56 of the Cougars' points have come from the hands of Ford. So definitely a very, very impressive performance thus far for that young man.
And I know that Mr. and Mrs. Ford are both watching at home, as if they're not here in the Grant Center, they are watching at home, always complimenting the broadcast and watching Ford play basketball. So I know they're enjoying this game a lot. A 17-point game by Jamal Ford. Nothing new to them, as he's been doing this his whole life. He's in the 1,000-point club at his high school, Wayne Country Day High School, and he's been tearing it up in AAU. So to see him do this in college is just Jamal playing basketball at another level. So Cash with the ball across half court. Over to Henry. Henry over to Ford. Ford will rotate over. Over to McAllister. McAllister, nice dribble moves, gets Reed on his heels. Ford, deep range, three-pointer, good. And that gives him 20.
Make it 20, 59-40. So Ford is rapidly approaching scoring nearly half of his team's points here so far. And he has been especially deadly from beyond the arc, where I know he has had to have knocked down at least 5 3-pointers, at least, if not 6.
Jamal Ford matching his jersey number of 20 points. And number 24, Pines, open for 3, no good. So Jamal Ford will run the court here. Over to Cash. Cash couldn't hold on to the pass. And so Trey Livingston will come back in for the Hawks, as well as John J. Graves. What a name, John J. Graves. So here we go with Reed now as he gets across half court. 19-point game, Cougars lead. McAllister, Gardner, Reed, Livingston with the ball. Foul's going to be called against Kettner. So Best will come in for McAllister.
Ford had 11 points last year in the Cougars' contest against Wilson. I'm checking here right now to see his overall stats, and because Ford has got to quickly be approaching a game high.
And so here we go with Best now, 10:47. Over to Kettner. Kettner to Cash. Cash for 3. No good. Jamal Ford on the rebound. He will dribble out and give it over to Cash. Nice bounce pass. Jamal Ford over to Kettner. Kettner. Nice right-hand floater. It does go.
61-42, and right now Averett with its foot off the pedal on cruise control. 19-point game, 10:07 remaining. As we said, though, still a lot of time to be played in this contest. As we saw, as we've been talking about, the Averett women's team in the game before this one had a 13-point deficit, or 11-point deficit, entering the fourth quarter, and came back, erased that deficit, retook the lead for a bit before Greensboro was able to come back and seal off the victory late in the game.
And that's Pines draining his first shot. Will Shoemate and Mariba Diaby will check into the game for the Cougars.
And Eddie, Ford's mark of 20 right now is a career best, beating the record he had set 2 times before in games earlier this year at Ferrum, then here against NC Wesleyan. So Ford, a career night for that young man, and we're just interested to see what he's going to do the rest of the way.
And Jamal Ford, in talking with him previously before the game and in just regular conversation, he's really wanted to improve his game and improve his shot totals, because he wasn't a high-volume shooter before, but we've always known that he can shoot. He just never used it. So Best will get the pass that went away. Livingston will get the ball and will be fouled by Will Shoemate.
And, the foul right there, but Eddie, look how fast Averett got back in transition on that. Before Livingston could really even kind of get into the perimeter, Averett already had 3 bodies down there on him. Now, Livingston does a great job of drawing the foul, but still just tremendous defense there, really, from this Cougars team. So Livingston's first shot falls, makes it a 16-point game, 61-45. James Contreras into the game for Montre Cash. And from what I hear, Eddie, Montre Cash does a pretty good job on the webcast too.
And he does. He's a freshman that's come in, and really he's broadcasted a couple of women's basketball games with me, and I think he's broadcast one with you, and he's done really well. He's not shy on the mic, and he's really confident in his ability to talk, and he knows the game of basketball, and that really helps when you get up here in the broadcast booth, knowing the game of basketball, being able to dissect and analyze, and he does it well.
He does, and Eddie, it's sometimes, there's the old saying that the best way to learn something is to be thrown right into the fire. And, that's definitely something that we do, here at Averett. Because, this is a situation. And there is a 3-ball, no good. It's going to be number 2, Hobson coming down, number 2, King coming down with the rebound. Nice pass over to number 24, Pines. So right now, King with the ball. King gets it back over to Elmore. Elmore over to Pines. Pines trying to drive in, back to the basket, gets it over to Reed. And Pines with the turnaround, and it's good. 61-47, 8:49. But, Eddie, this is definitely something that you can't prepare for. It's all improv. We can do all the best game notes in the world, but unless, we know exactly what the action is, we just have to be able to react, and Monterey does a very good job at that.
As mentioned, there is no script to this stuff. Even, oh my goodness, James Contreras taking the contact on the three-point shot and finishing it off. Didn't get the foul, but way to finish that three-point shot.
Well, he made that one just about from the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So a great shot there by Contreras. And another nice play there by number 42, John J. Graves, into the game. The freshman forward going up against Diaby, who picks up his 4th. But a great play there by Graves, a freshman coming in, just showing fearlessness going into the lane against Diaby. Of course, when you are 6'5", you're not that much shorter than a lot of people out there on the court, and Diaby's maybe got Graves by about an inch.
And Graves, it's got to be good for a coach when freshmen can come in and come off the bench and really help out a team. And in the case of Averett, Cash and Cochran starting in the starting lineup. It's got to be great for a coach to recruit players that can come in and make an immediate impact and not have that big of a learning curve, but be able to have the potential to grow from their freshman year. It's got to be something that really warms a coach's heart.
It does, and one thing that I did notice, Graves with the flat tops on. Don't see those often in basketball, and that's going to be Best putting up there. No good. Host of players battling out. Last went out on Contreras. So Huntingdon will get the ball. And we've got another timeout here. 7:51 remaining. Eddie, at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and get to cracking on my other job here. But thanks for letting me hop on the 1-2s with you there for a little bit and enjoy the rest of the game.
As always, it's always great having you on broadcast, Davin. I want to thank you for joining me and gracing me and everyone who's listening ears with your great voice. Nevertheless, we're going to take this time out here as we switch over. 64-49, your Cougars out in front in this ballgame. Back here at the Grant Center, 64-49. Your Cougars lead in this ball game, 7:51 remaining. We have Reed with the ball, defended by Contreras. Not been himself this game so far. Wonder if he's under the weather or if he's banged up a bit. Elmore defended by Forward. Foul called against Will Shoemate. That's his second of this game. Nice shot from McLean. First shot goes in. Burnett will check in for Averett, and Livingston in for Huntington. So here's Burnett now, defended by King. Ball over to Ford, back to Burnett. Burnett over to DeLucia, 4-3, wide open, it's good. 67-51 as DeLucia is knocking down the three-pointers. Charge called. Will Shoemate doing a good job of standing in there and taking the contact from Livingston. Livingston picks up his third. So here's DeLucia over to Ford. Ford back over to Contreras. Back to DeLucia. DeLucia over to Contreras. Contreras dribbling in, finding Shoemate. Free throw range jumper. No good. And that foul will be called against number 40, McLean. And that will send Jalen Burnett to the free throw line. As Timothy Henry will check in. Burnett makes his first one, so he gets a second one. Second shot goes in. So 69-51 is the score. Cougars lead big time in this game. Hines with the ball over to King. King defended by Burnett. Pull-up jumper goes. So here's Contreras now going the other way over to Ford. Wide open, 4-3, and it doesn't go. And Tim Henry almost able to get to that ball. Livingston with the easy layup as teams trade buckets. 14-point lead for your Cougars. And Henry couldn't get the shot to go, but he'll step to the line for two more. Big group substitution here for Huntingdon. And so here we go. Boyd 4-3. Good. Burnett will get past his trap defense. And the ball will be turned over. Boyd again for three. No good. Rebounded by Jamal Ford. DeLucia with the ball down low to Henry. Henry, layup attempt doesn't go. I'm wondering if a Huntingdon player was able to get a hand on it. And so that's a great shot from Pines. Way to weave through that traffic. Nice pump fake to get players off their feet and wait. Burnett for three, and it doesn't go. DeLucia for three, and it doesn't go. And Coach David Dueno able to catch that ball as it lands out of bounds. So a big group substitution here for Dueno. Contreras, the only person that will stay in. Diaby, Kettner, McAllister, and Cash all coming in. Contreras. Out to Cash. Cash will dribble out. Over to McAllister. McAllister back out to Cash. Cash. Over to Kettner. Kettner, mid-range jumper. Doesn't go. Diaby will be called on the foul. So Diaby will stay into the game. Will Shumate will actually check in for Diaby. 10-point game now. Chadwick makes his first shot. So ball to McAllister, back over to Cash. 70-61, 9-point game. Huntington battled back. Ball to Shoemate. Shoemate. Over to Cash. Cash. Turnaround jumper goes. So timeout call. We're going to take it here with them. 72-61. 3:49 left in this ball game. Your Cougars are out in front. We'll be back here on the Averett Sports Network. So we're back here at the Grant Center. 72-61. Your Cougars are out in front with 3:49 remaining. Huntington look to come back in this game. Coach will keep the same lineup. Kettner, Shoemate, Contreras, Cash, and McAllister all out on the court. And that's a good shot there from John J. Graves. And McAllister with a nice finish. And a turnaround jumper, no good. John J. Graves will be called on that foul. This was in Will Shoemate to the line. Shoemate shot goes. Livingston with the ball, or excuse me, that was Boyd with that three-point shot. Cash way over to Kettner. Shot good. And a nice find. And the Cougars will get the ball back. No, Huntingdon ends up with it. And so that will be number 24, Pines, as he will go to the free throw line for one more. Ball into McAllister. McAllister back to Kettner. Kettner back over to McAllister. McAllister dribbling around, finding Kettner. Kettner over to Shoemate. Shoemate will turn the ball over, and so here's Huntingdon now. And a deep shot there. Contreras will dribble past half court and find Kettner in the corner. 4-3. Good. So 1:58 remaining, 81-66. And this will send McLean to the line. Jamal Ford checks in for TJ McAllister. So here's Cash now. Over to Kettner, and Kettner to Contreras. Contreras. And that's too easy for James Contreras. The reverse layup as Cash tries to come up with that steal. And Pines' shot bounces high and goes in. Timeout called by Huntingdon. 83-70, 13-point game, 1:35 left. Cougars out in front. We'll be right back here at the Grant Center. So we're back here at the Grant Center. Jamal Ford inbounds to Cash. Cash back over to Ford. Ford to Contreras. Contreras with an open lane, and he will get fouled. Contreras' first free throw goes in. Second one goes in. Shoemate checks in for Darren Kettner. Under a minute and a half now, 85-70. And the clean shot goes. And it's McAllister. McAllister over to Cash now. Cash over to Ford. Ford down low to Shoemate. Shoemate. Shot is good. Under a minute now, 87-72. Shot no good, but that's McLean again. Timeout called by Huntingdon. 46.8 remaining. 87-74, 13-point game. Your Cougars lead. So 87-74, Jamal Ford. Tries to get it to Kettner. He finds Contreras. So James Contreras will step up to take these shots. 87-74. First shot goes in. So Cochran will check in now as Averett keeps possession of the ball. And McAllister will be fouled now, so 43-4 remaining. This game could turn into a 30-minute game. McAllister's first shot doesn't go. Second shot in, 90-74, 43-4 remaining. Boyd with the ball. Shot up and in. R.J. Jones in 4-3. Cochran sinks second shot, so 92-77. Outside. Finds a shot, no good. And King will end up with the ball. Over to Jones. His shot no good. Ball will go to Averett. Shot clock disappears. 22-8 remaining. And so the Cougars will dribble the ball out here. So that means the Cougars will win it. 92-77 on the back of Jamal Ford. He had an absolutely amazing shooting night here. As we end this game, as it is official, 92-77, your Cougars men beat Huntingdon in this matchup. We're going to take a quick break and bring you some post-game stats here for this game.